Yeah. Hi guys, good morning. In the last session, we understood what is CRUD repository and what are the methods available in the CRUD repository. So we have done the practice for some methods available in the CRUD repository, like find all method is available, find all by ID, find by ID, then save method, save all method is available. So let us see what are the methods that are available in the CRUD repository. So CRUD repository is one predefined interface in the data JPA. It is providing several methods to perform CRUD operations. One is a save method, which is used to perform insert plus update. That's why it is called upsert operation. Save all method is available, which is also used to deal with save plus update. Save method will take one object. Save all method will take multiple objects. Then next one, find by ID method is available. It is used to retrieve single record based on the primary key column value. So if you want to retrieve a record from the table, then you can go for find by ID method. Then we have find all by ID, which is used to retrieve records using multiple IDs, right? So that means I want to retrieve the data based on multiple primary key column values. Then we will go for find all by ID. Next one, find all method is available, which is used to retrieve all the records from the table. What is the purpose of exists by ID? What is the purpose of exists by ID? It is used to check the presence of the record, whether the record is present in the table or not. If the record is present, it will give true. If record is not present, it will give false value. Similarly, count method, which is used to get total number of records available in the table. Then to perform the delete operations, we have several methods. You can delete one record based on the ID. You can delete multiple records based on the IDs. You can delete a record based on the entity object. Delete all the records by using some objects. That means I want to delete multiple records which I are passing as a input. Delete all. You can delete the total records available in the table by using delete all method. Perfect. So we completed the practice for the methods available in CRUD repository. Now today let's understand how to work with find by methods in the data JPA. How to work with find by methods in the data JPA. So let me go for show databases. Our database name is available. Use SBMS 36. Then show tables. We have one table called the employee table. Select star from employee. Now, so there are 3 records available in the employee table. There are 3 records available in the employee table. Now, I want to retrieve the employees based on their department. I want to retrieve the employees based on the department. So we are writing a repository interface. That repository interface extending the properties from CRUD repository. Inside the CRUD repository, there are several methods available. We are calling those methods to perform the operation. So total there are 12 methods available in order to perform the operation. So save all, find by ID, find all, exist by ID, count method, delete by ID, delete all by ID, delete all. Like that, there are 12 predefined methods available to perform the operation. But my requirement is to retrieve the records based on the department. So now go to database, execute that query, write that query, select star from employee, which will give all the records available in the table. It will give all the records available in the table. Now I want to retrieve the records like this. Select star from employee, where employee department is equal to something like sales. Now, so I'm writing one SQL query. With this SQL query, we are retrieving 2 records. Select star from employee, where employee department is equal to sales. So with this, we are getting 2 records. Now, I want to execute same query by using data JPA. So in order to execute same query by using data JPA, is there any method available in the CRUD repository? Is there any method available in the CRUD repository? No. To satisfy our requirement, there is no method available in the CRUD repository. In the CRUD repository, 12 methods available for different purpose. But my requirement is different. I want to retrieve the records based on the department of the employee. So in that department, one employee can be available, more than one employee also can be available. I want to retrieve all those employee records from the table. Now, as we don't have any predefined method in the data JPA, we can write our own methods in the data JPA. So that's where we are using a concept called find by methods. So data JPA supports find by methods to retrieve the records based on non-primary key column. In the data JPA, you can retrieve the data by using find by ID. That means based on the primary key, you can get the data. And there is another method, find all by ID is also available. So here we can pass multiple primary keys as a parameter. And there is a method called find all method available. It will retrieve all records available in the table. So there are three methods available in the data JPA to retrieve the records. One is find by ID. Second one is find all by ID. Third one is find all. So when we should go for find by ID? To retrieve the record based on the single primary key value. If you know the primary key, then you can retrieve that record. When to go for find all by ID? When to go for find all by ID? If you want to retrieve multiple records based on the primary keys, then you can go for find all by ID. The next one, find all method. What is the meaning of find all method? Which is used to retrieve all the records. Now, my requirement is how to retrieve records based on non-primary key column values. Non-primary key column values. Department is a primary key or department is not a primary key in the column? Department is not a primary key in the table. Employee ID is a primary key, but I want to retrieve the record based on the department. Department is not a primary key. So in the SQL, we are clear. Select star from table where column name is equal to given value. Where department is equal to sales, I'm able to get the data. But now I want to execute the same query by using data JPA. That's where we are going to use a concept called find by. We are using a concept called find by methods. Using find by methods, we can retrieve data from table. We can retrieve the data from the table. The syntax for the find by method, the syntax is find by trip X. So here you can specify parameters also. What is this triplex here? This represents variable name which is mapped with the column name. So now I want to retrieve the data based on the department. Department is a column in the table. That column mapped to one variable in the entity class. So now you need to write a method like this. Find by EMP department. So EMP department is a variable in our entity class. EMP department is available. Find by variable name, if you specify, then the data JPA will create the query for us. Now I want to retrieve the record based on the department. Public. In the department, more than one employee can be available. So I'm going to take list as a return type, employee, then find by. That is a static keyword. That is a fixed keyword. Find by. Find by means I want to perform select operation. Find by keyword represents that I want to perform select operation. That select operation you want to perform based on which column value. I want to perform the select operation based on the department column. So what is the column name? EMP underscore department is the column name. This column name is mapped to which variable in the entity class? EMP DUPT. Now take that variable name, write the first character as a capital EMP department. Now I want to pass the department name as a input for the method. That's it. That's it. If you write one abstract method, that is sufficient. Data JPA will prepare the query for the method and it will execute that query. It will return the results also. You no need to write the logic to execute the query. You just write the method properly. Method name is very important here. Based on the method name, data JPA will construct the query. Based on the method name, data JPA will construct the query. So this method is going to generate a query like this. Select star from employee, where employee department is equal to DEPT. Whatever the value you supply as a parameter for the method, that value will be replaced in the query. This is a named positional parameter. In the JDBC, we have seen positional parameters. What is the purpose of positional parameters? What is the purpose of positional parameters? Positional parameters are used to supply dynamic values to the query. Okay. Now, here also, I am not writing the query, but I want to execute the query. So, for that, I am going for find by method. What is the purpose of find by method? Find by methods are used to retrieve data from the table. Okay. So, when we use the find by method, JPA will construct the query based on the method name. When we write find by method, JPA will construct query based on method name. When we write find by methods, JPA will construct query based on method name. Method name will play very important role here. Method name will play very important role. If you don't write the method name properly, JPA cannot create the query properly. We are not writing the query. We are just writing an abstract method. Based on the name of the method, JPA will prepare the query and JPA will execute that query. That is called find by methods. Now observe this. I am writing one method, find by employee department. String department I am taking as a parameter. So I want to execute this select query with a department in the where class, and I want to pass input as a department. That's it. You no need to write any logic. I'm just writing one abstract method. Go to our service class, get employees based on department, public void get EMPs by department. So I'm taking string department as a parameter. So what I need to do? EMP repo dot find by EMP department. That's it. Which is going to return list of employees. Now let us print them. List emps dot for each system dot out dot colon of println. So this is a service layer method. My service layer method is calling the repository method. Inside the repository, method is a abstract method or method is a concrete method. Method is a abstract method or method is a concrete method? Abstract method. What is the meaning of abstract method? What is the meaning of abstract method? The method which does not contain the body. The method which does not contain the body is called as a abstract method. Then what about the query? What about the execution of the query? What about the query and what about the execution of the query? Query preparation, query execution will be taken care by JPA. As a programmer, you just write the method properly. That's it. Now, call this method from our test class, from start class, service dot get EMPs by department. I'm giving the department name as sales, right? So in the database, based on the sales department, there are 2 records available. Run as boot application. Now you check it. Query prepared by data JPA or not. Select all the columns from the table where department is equal to positional parameter. We supplied the value for the method parameter. That value will be passed to positional parameter. So there are two records available. We are getting those two records from the database table. Similarly, I want to get the data based on the gender. Is it possible? So gender is a primary key or gender is not a primary key? Gender is not a primary key. Then how can we retrieve records based on the gender? Now there are three records available, two male records, one female record is available. Can we write a method to retrieve the record based on the gender? First of all, what is the SQL query? What is the SQL query? Select a star from employee where EMP underscore gender with the given value. Whatever the value you supply, based on that we can retrieve the records. Select a star from employee where EMP gender is equal to given gender. This query I want to execute, but I don't want to write that query. JPA should execute this query to retrieve the records based on the gender. For that, we need to write one find by method. What is the purpose of find by methods? Find by methods are used to retrieve the records from the table based on the given method name. Based on the method name, query will be constructed by JPA and query will be executed by the JPA. You no need to implement the method. It is a abstract method. But method name will play the important role. If you don't write the method name properly, your query will become invalid. Query will become invalid. Next one. Tell me the method for this. Based on the gender, multiple employees can be available. So what is the return type? Why can't I take only employee as a return type? Multiple employees belongs to the same gender, more than one object. When you have more than one object, list of objects you need to represent. For that I am going for public list of employee. Public list of employee. Then find by is a common. Find by is common. You check the variable name. What is the variable name? EMP gender. If you suppose if you write find by gender, string gender, what will happen? What will happen? Is it valid or invalid? Why invalid? Is there any variable available with gender? No. What is the variable name? Our variable name in the entity is EMP gender, but what we are writing? Find by gender. Let's try to call this. Inside the service layer, write one method, public void get EMPs by gender. Print the employees for each method reference. Got it? Yeah. Call this method, comment this one, and service dot get EMPs by gender, some gender value. Good. Right click, run as boot application. I'm trying to execute the project. Is it running successfully or it is failed? Can you read the exception? Property reference exception. No property gender found for the type employee. So whenever you use find by gender, it is checking is there any variable available in the entity class with gender. Is that variable available or not available? No. So that's why method name will play very important role in the JPA. Find by methods. Based on the method name, the query construction will happen. Now, how to correct this method? Find by EMP gender. Our variable name is employee gender. Now, so call this correct method inside the service. find by employee gender. Right click, run as boot application. Now you see the query which is constructed. Select star from table where gender is equal to given value. We are getting 2 records. There are 2 male records available in the table. Next one, I want to get male records belongs to sales department. We have written a method to get the records based on the department. We have written the method to get the records based on the gender. Now I want male records from sales department. What is the SQL query? What is the SQL query? Tell me that. Select a star from employee where employee department is equal to sales and employee gender is equal to male. So one where class, one and condition. There is only one employee belongs to sales department from male gender. Now I want to execute same query by using data JPA. Can you guess the method? Find by EMP department and EMP gender. So I want to execute my query with 2 columns data. One is the department, another one is gender. Okay. Let us write one method here. First write the SQL query. What query you want to execute? Based on that you can write the method. Select a star from employee where employee gender is equal to where employee gender is equal to given gender and employee department is equal to given department. For that, write the method. What is the method? Public list of employee find by what is the variable name in the entity class? What is the variable name? EMP gender. Only one column or 2 columns? 2 columns. Then and EMP department. So now you see, first I am taking gender, then I am taking department. So in which order you are writing the variable names in the method? In the same order, you need to take the parameters also. String gender and string department, like this. Public list of employee find by EMP gender and EMP department. So here the meaning of this method is select a star from employee where gender is equal to given value and department is equal to given value. So gender is in the first position, department is in the second position. In the same order, we need to take our method parameters also. So by using find by method, you can retrieve the records based on non-primary key columns also. Now, so write a method in the service layer. Public void get EMPs by gender and department. So I'm passing string gender, string department. So we need to call EMP repo dot find by gender and department. I'm passing gender department as a parameter. We are getting the employees. Print those employees on the console. That's it. This is the new method. Call this method from start class. Service dot gender and department. First parameter is the gender. Second parameter is the department. Sales, right? So I'm calling service layer method. My service layer method is calling the DAO method. So what is the conclusion with the find by methods? What we understood about find by methods? What we understood about find by methods? Without writing anything, we are retrieving the records. So just we are writing one abstract method based on the method name. JPA is preparing the query, JPA setting the values for positional parameter, JPA executing the query, JPA iterating the result set, JPA getting the data from the result set, converting the data to entity object. Each entity object it is adding to one array list object and it is giving the array list for us. How much code is executing? How many lines of code is executing in the background? Come on, guys. I'm just writing my method. I'm just writing my method. What is the logic executing in the background? I'm just writing the method. What is the logic executing in the background? First thing, what is the logic executing in the background? It is understanding the method name. JPA is understanding our method name. Based on the method name, it is preparing the query. For the query positional parameters available, it will take our method parameters, will set the values for the parameters. Then it will execute that query. It will process the result. It will get the result set object. Result set object converted to entity objects. Entity objects added to one collection. Finally, it is returning the collection. Where is all this logic? Framework. Where all this logic is available? Framework. So we just need to focus on the business logic. Common logic will be taken care by data JPA. Good. Find by employee gender and employee department. Okay. Run this application. Run as boot application. Now you see that. So based on the given gender and department, there is only one record available, Charles record. Check that in the database. Select star from employee, where department is equal to sales and gender is equal to male. Now, when I execute this query, how many records we are getting? So we are getting only one record. With the given query, there is only one record is available. Good. Look at the methods. Come on, guys. Can you look at the methods now? Guys, give me 1 minute. Fine guys, we are trying to understand what is a find by method and how to write the find by methods. So what is the speciality of the find by method in the data JPA? What is the speciality of the find by methods in the JPA? Without writing the query also, we are able to perform the operation with the database. Without writing the query also, we are able to perform operation with the database. So using find by methods, we can retrieve the data from the table. When we write the find by methods, JPA will construct a query based on the method name. Method name will play very important role. Find by triplex here. What is the meaning of triplex? Variable name. Entity class variable name you need to specify in the method name. So based on that, it is going to construct the query and it will execute the query. What about the dynamic values for the query? Are we able to pass dynamic values for the query? Are we able to pass dynamic values for the query? How we are passing dynamic values for the query? As a method parameter. So now, if you pass this as a method parameter, then the query will be constructed like this. Now, I want to retrieve the employees who are having salary above 15,000. Are you getting my point? I want to retrieve the records based on the employee's salary who are having the salary greater than 15,000. Can you tell me the method name? First of all, can you tell me SQL query for that? What is the SQL query? Select a star from employee where EMP underscore salary greater than or equal to 15,000. Now, all three employees are having salary greater than 15,000. Okay, let's go with the 20,000 then. 20,000. Which employee having about 20,000? Nick is having about 20,000. Now, I want to execute this query based on find by method. Can you tell me the method name? Can you tell me the find by method? Public. Today, only one employee, but tomorrow, more than one employee can have about 20,000. So what is the return type I'm taking? List of employee. List of employee find by employee salary. Suppose if I take this as a double salary. If I take like this, what will happen? No. What query will execute for this one? Select star from employee where salary equal to given value. When I write a find by method with the variable name, always it will use equals operator. Find by employee salary equal to given value. But I want salary equals or I want salary greater than or equal. I want to go for greater than equals. Now, find by employee salary control space. Find by employee salary control space. It will show you what options you can pass. What is this? Greater than equal. You need to write the method like this. Okay. So what operations you can perform on that column? Find by employee salary. What operations you can perform on that column? You can specify with the control space. So just to write find by variable name, then control space, it will give you all the options. Find by salary greater than, equal, greater than, equal. I'm going to pass some float of salary. That's it. Some float of salary. What is the meaning of this method? What kind of query this method will generate? This method will generate which query? Select a star from employee where employee salary greater than or equal to given salary. So whatever the salary we are passing as a parameter for the method, it will supply as a input for the query and query will execute. Find by employee salary greater than equal. So based on the method name, query will be created in the JPA. Programmer no need to write the query here. You write the method properly. Based on your method, query will be constructed. Now run this application. Call the method from the service layer. Public void get EMPs by salary. Float some salary. EMP repo dot find by EMP salary greater than or equals, which will return list of employees. So let us print that list of employees by using for each method. Right. Method name is becoming lengthy because we need to get the records based on the salary greater than equals. Now call this method service dot get employees by salary. Float salary. By default, it will take as a double value. We need to represent as F. Get employees by salary. Find by EMP salary greater than or equal. So select start from employee where salary greater than or equal to given salary. Now run this. Now see, the query is prepared as expected or not. Select star from employee where salary greater than or equal to given value. One employee matching with that salary, employee name is Nick, we are able to retrieve that. So like this we can perform all the select operations on the table by using find by methods. Find by method is a special method in the data JPA which is used to retrieve the records from the table. Can we insert, update, delete the record by using find by method? No. Find by method is only used for select operation. You cannot insert the record, you cannot update the record, you cannot delete the record when you go for find by methods. Clear? Good. Next one. In the data JPA, we can perform operation in two ways, guys. One is using predefined methods. We can perform operations with the table by using predefined methods. And we have second option now. The second option is find by methods. So by using predefined methods, we can perform all CRUD operations. We can insert the record, retrieve, update, and delete. But by using find by methods, only select operations. We can perform only select operations by using find by methods. So now we are able to develop one application by using data JPA. Using that data JPA, we are communicating with the database table. Using data JPA, we are communicating with the database table. By using predefined methods, we can communicate with the table. By writing find by methods also, we can communicate with the table. What is the difference between predefined methods and find by methods? What is the difference between predefined methods and find by methods? Predefined methods are used to perform all CRUD operations. Predefined methods are used to perform all CRUD operations, and find by methods are used to perform only select operation. Are you clear? Good. Now, along with the predefined methods and find by methods, in the JPA, there is a other option called custom queries. There is another option called custom queries. As of now, we are not writing the queries in the JPA. All these queries will be prepared by JPA. Programmer is not writing the query. But in the JDBC, if you go for JDBC, JDBC will prepare the query, or we need to give the query for the JDBC. JDBC will prepare the query, or we need to write the query. We need to write the query, or we need to execute that query. Similarly, in the Spring JDBC, in the data JPA also, I want to execute my own query. I don't want data JPA predefined method. I don't want to write find by method. A JPA, I will give one query for you. You execute my query and you give me the result. That concept is called custom queries. So in the data JPA, we can perform operations in three ways. One is by using find by method. Second one is by using predefined method. First one is predefined method. Second one is find by method. Third one is custom queries. We can write our own query. We can write our own query. We can write our own query and we can execute it using JPA. So the process of executing our own query is called custom query. To execute that, to work with custom queries, to work with custom queries, to work with custom queries, we will use @query annotation. What is that, guys? @query annotation will be available. Now, I want to retrieve all the records from the table. I want to retrieve all the records from the table. Public list of employee. Public list of employee, get all EMP records. So when you are going for custom query, you can use anything for the method name. When you go for find by method, method name syntax is very important. Method naming convention is very important when you go for find by method, because based on the method name, that query should be constructed. But when you go for custom query, that means we are executing our own query by using JPA, then you can write anything for the method name. So you can write the method name as M1 also. You can write the method name as M1 also, but that is not readable. What that method is performing, you need to keep that naming convention. This method is used to retrieve all the records from the table. Now, how to execute a custom query? @query annotation from employee. From employee. So this is not a SQL query, guys. This is a JPQL query, Java Persistence API query language. When we are working with the ORM frameworks, we are not going to use SQL. I will tell you what is the difference between SQL and HQL queries. What query I am writing? HQL query I am writing. Hibernate query language. Now I am writing one method. For that method, I am writing @query annotation. What is the purpose of @query annotation? @query annotation is used to execute custom query. What is the meaning of a custom query? What is the meaning of custom query, guys? Come on. What is the meaning of custom query? Custom query means writing our own query and executing our own query. Let us call this query. Let us call this a method. Go to service, public void get all EMP records. I'm not using any predefined method now. Guys, observe. I'm not using find by ID. I'm not using find all methods. I'm writing my own query that is called custom query. How I am writing the custom query? By using @query annotation. @query annotation. So for that query, I am giving the HQL. This HQL query will be converted to SQL query. Now check this. Call this method get all EMP records. This is executing custom query in the data JPA. Get all EMP records. You can check that. I'm calling service.get all EMP records. Open that method. EMP report.get all EMP records. What is there for that method? What is there? Is it a predefined method? Is it a find by method? No. What is this? It is a custom query. What is the meaning of custom query? Programmer want to execute on their own. Programmer want to write the query on their own and they want to execute that query. Are you clear? Good. Next, let us run this application. Run as boot application. Now you see, are we able to retrieve all the records? By using custom query also, we are able to retrieve all the records. Perfect. Now, I want to retrieve record based on the employee ID by using custom query. Can we do that? Can we retrieve the record from the table by using a custom query with the primary key? Actually, we have a predefined method. What is that predefined method? Find by ID. Now, I don't want to go for that. I want to write my own query to get the data. Right. Public with the ID primary key. How many records will be available? With the primary key, how many records will be available? Only one record. So what is the return type? Employee. Get EMP by ID. I am passing integer ID as a parameter. Now at the rate query. So we need to specify the query from employee where EMP ID is equal to colon ID. That's it. So you can write like this also. What is that? Positional parameter. What is the purpose of positional parameter? To supply the value in the runtime. So you can use positional parameter or you can use named positional parameter also. When you use named positional parameter, this parameter name matching with which variable name in the method parameters. That method parameter value will be supplied dynamically. So from employee, where employee ID is equal to colon ID. ID is a named positional parameter we are having as a method parameter. So whatever the value you supply to the method parameter, that value will be supplied to the query parameter. That is called named positional parameter. So this is a custom query. So I have two custom queries. One is used to retrieve all the records from the table. Second one is used to retrieve employee record based on the employee ID. Now go to the service, write the method. Get EMP by ID, which is integer ID. Next, EMP repo dot get EMP by ID, which will return one employee object. Let us print that employee object on the console to understand whether we are able to retrieve the record by using custom query or not. Okay, good. Call that method service dot get EMP by ID. Pass some ID as 101. So from the start class, I'm calling get EMP by ID. In this method, I am calling repository dot get EMP by ID. In this method, we are having custom query. So to write the custom query, we are using at the rate query annotation. Let's run this application. Yeah. So can you see the record is retrieved as expected? Yes, we are able to retrieve the record from the table based on the employee ID. That record is printing on the console. So now look at this. Look at our repository. We have written some find by methods and we have written some custom queries. So custom queries we can use to perform CRUD operations with the table, and find by methods are used to retrieve the records from the table by using non-primary key columns also. We are having predefined methods also. What is the purpose of predefined methods? To perform CRUD operations with the table. Predefined methods are used to perform some CRUD operations with the table. Look at the repository once, observe. Are you guys clear? What is @query annotation? What is a find by method in the data JPA? So what is the purpose of @query annotation? If you want to execute your own query by using data JPA, then we can go for @query annotation. What is a find by method? Without writing the query, if you want to retrieve the records by using non-primary key columns, then we will go for find by method. And we are having some predefined methods also. What are the predefined methods? There are 12 methods available in order to perform operations. Good. Perfect. Now, guys, here when we are going for custom queries are divided into two types. Custom queries are divided into two types. One is called SQL queries and second one is called HQL queries. So when we are writing the custom queries are divided into two types. One is called SQL queries, second one is called HQL queries. We already know SQL queries. SQL queries will use table name and column names. When I want to retrieve the data, how you will do that? Select a star from employee. That is a table name. Suppose if I want to retrieve the record based on the ID, what will be our query? Select a star from employee where employee underscore ID is equal to someone. Here employee is a table. Let me name like this, EMP table. Now here EMP underscore table where employee ID is equal to 1. SQL queries will use table name and column names in the query. Okay, when you are writing the SQL query, we will use table name and a column name in the query. Table name and column name in the query. Select a star from table name, and here select a star from table name where ID is equal to given value. Whereas HQL queries will use entity, class name and variable names in the query. So SQL queries are available, HQL queries are available. So we need to understand what is the difference between SQL query and HQL query. So SQL queries will use table names and column names in the query. Here, when you go for the HQL queries will use entity, class name and variable names in the query. So if I want to retrieve, select a star from table. Now, how you will write the HQL query? We will write from employee. That's it. Okay. So whenever you write from employee, it is equal to select a star from table name. So this is a HQL query. Now here, select a star from employee table where employee ID is equal to given value. How we will do that? From what is the class name? Employee, where what is the variable name? Employee ID equal to 1. So that is one difference between SQL queries and HQL queries. Can you read that? What is the difference between SQL query and HQL query? So whenever we are working with the custom queries in the JPA, we can execute the custom queries in two ways. One is called SQL query, second one is called HQL query. SQL queries will use table names and column names in the query. Whereas SQL queries will use entity, class names and variable names in the query. Next difference is SQL queries can execute in DB directly. So whenever you write a SQL query, every database will understand the SQL language. So DB language is SQL only. Whenever we write a SQL query, that SQL query can execute in the database directly. SQL queries cannot execute in the database directly. SQL queries cannot execute in DB directly. Why? Database don't know what is HQL. Only our Hibernate knows what is HQL. HQL stands for Hibernate Query Language. Which language our database will understand? Database will understand only SQL. So SQL queries will use table name and column names in the query, whereas SQL queries will use entity, class name and variable names in the query. SQL queries can execute in the DB directly, whereas SQL queries cannot execute in the DB directly. Now, every SQL query should be converted to SQL before execution. So if you write SQL query also in the project, that SQL query should be converted to SQL query before execution. Otherwise, that SQL cannot execute. So to convert SQL queries to SQL, dialect classes are available. What are the classes available, guys? Dialect classes. Now, if you are using Oracle database, then Oracle dialect class will convert your SQL query to Oracle SQL query. If you are using MySQL database, MySQL dialect class will convert your SQL query to SQL query. For every database, we have one dialect class. Oracle dialect is available. MySQL dialect is available. Postgres dialect is available. For every database, one dialect class is available. In the interview, they will ask you, what is a dialect in the data JPA? What is the purpose of dialect class in the data JPA? Come on. What is the purpose of dialect class in the data JPA? Dialect classes are used to convert SQL queries to SQL query. Dialect classes are used to convert SQL queries to SQL query. Can we execute SQL query directly in the database? Whenever you write a SQL query, you can execute that directly. What about the HQL? Can we execute a HQL query directly or we cannot execute? No. HQL query we cannot execute directly. HQL query should be converted to SQL query before execution. That conversion part will be taken care by dialect class. Now you see custom queries. Custom queries are nothing but I want to execute my own query in the database. Okay. I want to execute my own query in the database. Then we can go for custom queries in the data JPA. So when you go for custom queries, there are two types of custom queries are available. What are those two types of custom queries? What are the two types of custom queries? One is SQL query, second one is HQL query. SQL queries will use table name and column names in the query, whereas HQL queries will use class name and variable names in the query. SQL queries can execute in the database. SQL queries can execute in the database directly, whereas HQL queries cannot execute in the database directly. So every HQL query we are writing, that HQL query should be converted to SQL query. Who will convert our HQL query to SQL query? Dialect classes, Oracle dialect, MySQL, Postgres, like that. For every database, one dialect class is available. Now you see, you may get a doubt. Sir, why to write the HQL query? Why to convert that to the SQL query before execution? Now I have my database. Now I have my database. Right. Assume that here we developed one application. Okay. So this is our Java application. This is Oracle DB. My Java application communicating with the Oracle database. So in this Java application, we have used SQL queries. Assume that. In the Java application, we are using SQL queries. So SQL is a language specific to the database. When you go for Oracle, some SQL syntaxes will be available. When you go for MySQL, SQL syntaxes will be different. When you go for Postgres, some is not all, but some SQL. Now, in the Oracle, how to represent a data type as a number? We will give the number. In the MySQL, it is a integer. So both databases are having same syntaxes, not same syntaxes. No. So database to database, the syntaxes are different. Java, Python, both are programming languages only. Java having its own syntaxes, Python also having its own syntaxes. Similarly, Oracle is one database, MySQL also one database. Both databases are having different syntaxes. In the Oracle, we will use a number type. In the MySQL, we will use a into type. Fine. So now the point is, every database will have its own SQL syntax. Every database will have its own SQL syntax. Now here, Java application is available. Using this Java application, I'm communicating with the Oracle database. In the Oracle database, I'm using SQL syntax. I have written all the queries. In my project, assume that there are 2000 queries are available. In my project, there are 2000 queries are available. All are SQL queries only. By using those SQL queries, we are communicating with the Oracle database. Are you clear? We have developed our application. We have tested our application. We delivered to the client also. Application working as expected. After 2 years, client told that, boss, my business is not running successfully. I am not able to pay the license for the Oracle database. I want to go for MySQL, which is free of cost. Are you getting my point? We developed one application. In our application, we have created 2000 SQL queries. By using those SQL queries, we are communicating with the Oracle database. We tested our application. Everything is working perfectly. We delivered to the client. After 1 year, client came back to the company and told that my business is not running as expected. I'm not getting any profits from my business. I am not able to pay the license for the Oracle database. Can you change our database from Oracle to MySQL? Then we need to replace our application database from Oracle to MySQL. When I replace my database from Oracle to MySQL, which is free of cost, now my application should communicate with the MySQL. What about these 2000 queries that are available? Whatever the 2000 queries earlier, what is the database client asked earlier? In the starting of the project development, client is having a lot of money. He is investing for the project. To start the business, he is investing the money. He told that, okay, purchase Oracle, I will pay the cost of the license. Then company purchased Oracle license and developed the Java project to communicate with the Oracle database. As part of that project development, they have created 2000 SQL queries in the project. So those SQL queries are related to Oracle database. Okay. So project development completed, testing completed, delivery also completed, client also happy. But game started after 1 year. His business is not running. He's not getting any profit. Unnecessarily is paying the license for the softwares. So client want to go with the free software instead of licensed software. Okay. Client asked, boss, I don't want Oracle. Please change it to MySQL. From next month, I will not pay the Oracle license. My application should work, but it should use MySQL database instead of Oracle database. Then is it easy just to change the properties in the properties file? Instead of the Oracle URL, configure MySQL URL. Instead of Oracle username and password, configure MySQL username and password. If I make that change in the properties file, is it done? No. The problem is these 2000 SQL queries. So when I am writing the 2000 SQL queries, which database is there in my mind? When I am writing the 2000 SQL queries, Oracle database is there in my mind. So I will write the SQL queries based on Oracle syntaxes. I will write the 2000 queries by using Oracle syntaxes because at the time of project development, they told to use Oracle database. So at the time of writing the code, Oracle DB is there in my mind. I have written the queries based on Oracle syntaxes. Now, after 1 year, client is asking to change from Oracle database to MySQL database. So database change means it's not like go to the properties file and change this username, password, URL. I can change within one minute. Database properties I can change within 1 minute and I will deploy the latest code. That is not the issue. The issue is queries. These are SQL queries. These SQL queries are related to Oracle database. So that's why SQL queries are called as database dependent queries. Those queries will work with only one database. Those queries will work with only one database. Are you clear? Now, if I want to change the database, I need to change these queries. That is the first part. After changing the queries, is there any guarantee everything will work as expected? No. Just to change the queries, it will take 1 month of time. After changing the queries, again we need to test the entire project. Again to test the entire project, it will take another 2 to 3 months of time. Then what about client business for the 3 months? What about the client business for the 3 months? We need to stop the project. We need to change all the 2000 queries. It will take 1 week to 10 days to change only queries. After queries changed, we need to test our queries are working as expected or not with the MySQL database. So that is called database dependency problem. Our application is tightly coupled with only one database when you write SQL queries in the project. Are you guys getting my point? So what is SQL query? Structured query language which is used to communicate with the database. So we are writing SQL queries and we are communicating with the database. Today it is working. We are good, we are happy. But what about maintenance in the future? Tomorrow, I want to change my project from one database to another database. If I want to change the project from one database to another database, what is the problem? All the SQL queries may not work with the new database. The 2000 queries which are working with the Oracle database, the 2000 queries may not work with the MySQL database. So then we need to change these 2000 queries. That is the first problem. And the second problem, testing the application, all the queries working as expected or not. With Oracle, we tested working, but with MySQL, new queries, new changes. So we need to test our queries working as expected or not. This is one of the problem with the SQL queries. So if you want to change from one database to another database in the future, lot of maintenance cost will be available. To avoid that maintenance cost, people will go for HQL queries. Now, I will write my Java application. My Java application wants to communicate with the Oracle database. I will write one Java application that will communicate with the Oracle database. In this Java application, I am writing HQL queries to communicate with the Oracle database. So 2000 HQLs. What is the meaning of HQL? Hibernate query language. So earlier we have SQL. SQL queries can execute in the database directly. Whatever the SQL queries are available, we can execute in the database directly. But when I write the HQL, what is HQL? HQL stands for Hibernate Query Language. These HQL queries are database independent queries. Our database don't know what is a HQL query. Whatever the HQL query you are writing, that HQL query will be converted to SQL query by using a class called dialect class. What is the class name? Dialect. For every database, one dialect class will be available. That dialect class will convert the HQL to SQL and it will execute that. Okay. When you go for SQL, in my application, SQL queries are available. Those SQL queries will communicate with the database directly. That is fine. But tomorrow, when I want to change the database, I need to change the queries. I need to test the queries, which will take a lot of time and lot of money also. So that's why what people will do, people will develop the project by using HQL query. HQL stands for Hibernate Query Language. HQL queries are database independent queries. Nothing but database don't know what is HQL. Our HQL query cannot execute in the database. To execute the HQL query, dialect class is required. So what is the responsibility of the dialect class in the ORM? Take the HQL query as an input, convert into SQL query based on the database we are using. So if you are using Oracle database, it will convert the HQL to Oracle SQL query. Tomorrow, if I want to change my application from Oracle database to MySQL database, what is the problem? I want to change from Oracle database to MySQL database. Now, my application should communicate with the MySQL database instead of Oracle. Then here Oracle dialect comes into picture. Oracle dialect class comes into picture. Instead of Oracle dialect, now we will go for MySQL dialect. Do I need to modify any query? Do I need to test any query? How much time it will take to change the driver? Now we are adding Oracle driver in the project. When you add the Oracle driver, your HQL queries will be converted to Oracle SQL. Now client told that Oracle is not required. Go for MySQL. Then what change I need to do in the project? Remove the Oracle driver from the pom.xml. Add MySQL driver in the pom.xml. How much time it will take? 1 minute. Not more than 1 minute. Not more than 1 minute. What about the queries modification, queries testing? Who will take care of that? Do I need to modify the query? No. My queries are database independent. My queries are not specific to database. My queries are specific to HQL. HQL query will be converted to SQL query. If it is a Oracle database, HQL query will be converted to Oracle understandable format. If it is a MySQL database, HQL query will be converted to MySQL understandable format. Who will take care of that conversion? Dialect class will take care of that conversion. When you add the driver, dialect class will come into picture. If you add Oracle driver, Oracle dialect will come. If you add MySQL driver, MySQL dialect will come to convert our HQL queries to SQL queries. So can I say HQL queries are database independent queries? What about SQL? What about SQL? SQL queries are database dependent. HQL queries are database independent. This is the conclusion. SQL queries are database dependent. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of SQL queries are database dependent? The SQL query which is working in one database may not work in the another database because of syntaxes difference. Now, what about HQL? HQL queries are database independent. HQL queries are database independent. Good. Look at this. So if you write SQL, SQL query will directly communicate with the database. That is fine. Tomorrow, if I change the database, I need to change the queries and I need to test all the queries, which will take 3 months of time. But instead of that, if you write your project with the HQL queries don't know what is a database. HQL queries are database independent. Every HQL query will be converted to SQL query by using dialect. Tomorrow, if we want to change from one database to another database, we need to change the dialect class. You no need to change all the queries. You no need to test all the queries. Lot of time will be saved when you go for HQL queries in terms of maintenance. Are you clear? So if you want to change the database, how much time it will take? Hardly 1 minute. But if you go for SQL, 3 months of time it is going to take if you want to migrate from one database to another database. Good. So we are trying to understand what is custom query. So can you tell me what is a custom queries? What is a custom query? Right? We can write a method. For that method, we can write @query annotation and we can pass our query. So for @query, how many types of queries we can pass? One is SQL query, another one is HQL query. What is the difference between SQL query and HQL query? SQL queries will use table name and column names in the query. HQL queries will use entity, class name and variable names in the query. SQL queries cannot execute in the DB, can execute directly in the DB. Now, HQL queries cannot execute in the DB directly. Every HQL query should be converted to SQL query before execution. Who will take care of that conversion? Who will take care of that conversion? Dialect class. So to convert HQL query to the SQL query, dialect classes are available. What about the SQL queries? SQL queries are database. Online students, can you hear me now? I'm sorry guys, I got disconnected. Am I audible now? Right. So we discussed about what is SQL query and what is HQL query. SQL queries can execute in the DB directly. HQL queries cannot execute in the DB directly. Whenever we write a HQL query, every HQL query should be converted to SQL query before execution. So to convert HQL queries to SQL query, dialect classes are available. SQL queries are database dependent. HQL queries are database independent. Now, HQL is better or SQL is better. It depends on requirement. If you want easy maintenance for the project, HQL is better, because when you want to change from one database to another database, maintenance will be very less when you go for HQL queries. But in the HQL queries, performance is slow. Why performance is slow? Our query should be converted to SQL query, then it should execute the SQL query in the database. So when you go for HQL, performance will be slow. What about a SQL query? Our SQL query can execute in the database directly. So when you write the SQL query, that SQL query can execute in the database directly. So faster execution will be available for the SQL. But what about the HQL? That HQL should be converted to SQL, then SQL should be one step extra is required for the HQL. So that's why performance wise SQL is better, maintenance wise HQL is better. So it depends on our project requirement, whether we need maintenance, easy maintenance, or we need good performance. If we need good performance, go for SQL, directly they will execute. So performance is not a matter for me. I want easy maintenance of the project. Then go for HQL queries. Are you clear? Good. Fine. So with this we understood. Still HQL topic is pending. Tomorrow we need to write several types of HQL queries and we need to practice. Today we understood just what is HQL, what is the difference between SQL and HQL, what is a custom query, how to write the custom query. Tomorrow practically we will understand HQL queries for the several scenarios. Good. So conclusion, total there are 3 ways available to communicate with the database using JPA. One is by using predefined method. Second one is by using find by method. Third one is by using custom query. So to execute custom query, we are using @query annotation. Are you clear? Yes, good. I'm done for today. Do you have any questions for me? Yes, we can do insertion, update, delete, retrieve, all the operations. Tomorrow we will see that. Not only for retrieval, you can perform all the CRUD operations, but insert operation not possible with the HQL directly. Tomorrow I will tell you that. Yeah. Find by methods only for select operation. Predefined methods, CRUD operations we can perform. By using custom queries also, you can perform CRUD operations. Good. So please do the practice of these examples, whatever the find by methods we have created today and the custom queries that I have created today. I uploaded that in the notes. I will be updating that notes. I think already they are available in the given material. So I have given repository interface which contains custom queries as well as find by methods also. Please do the practice before coming to tomorrow's session. Tomorrow we will do practicals on the HQL queries. Thank you guys. Online students, any questions, anyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, hi.
So hi, sir. Hi. Is
Yes,
there
sir.
any way to improve the performance of HQL query?
No, sir. because conversion is mandatory.
Okay, because flexibility wise and every wise,
Correct. So there is
SQL
no
is
way
better.
because that should be converted. There is no way.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi sir. This is Sudhakar.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, actually, I have an interview question
Sorry?
the performance issue.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, they are asking we have multiple we are using the list, or I mean whatever the map, and we have list of employees we have. So using the DB improve the DB performance, what kind of precautions we need to take?
Sir, when you want to improve the performance, it
Yeah.
depends on several factors. If you need to create indexes on your table so that the search operation will happen faster in the database.
Indexes. Performance.
Yes.
From code level.
From the code level, we need to make sure that the query is optimized when you are writing that. So we need to write the proper queries, optimized queries we need to write.
Okay. Do we need to anything like a map or a list?
Yeah, anything
we can use, but we need to optimize the query while we are writing the query. Okay.
Yes, right.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Yeah, I know.
sir, design pattern.
Instead of abstract methods, can we use our own methods?
Sir, it is an
Sir, am I
interface,
audible?
right? No, you no need to write up concrete methods in the repository interface. You need to write the abstract methods because implementation will be taken care by data JPA. It is not the programmer's responsibility.
Hi, Ashok. This is Srinivas.
In any case, we want to write the measurements.
No, you cannot.
Hi, Ashok. This is Srinivas.
Yeah, hi.
Actually, in my code, I have seen there are some scenarios, and instead of using select queries and DB team will share, there is a call proc call. So should I use same?
Yes,
proc
sir.
calls
Proc
using-
calls, yes, sir. We can tomorrow we will see how to execute the procedure by using data JPA.
Great. So that an example you can share that?
Yes, right.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, what is design pattern?
Design patterns basically provide the solution for the common problems in the project, like singleton design pattern, factory design pattern, abstract design pattern, observable design pattern, facade design pattern, strategy design pattern. Design patterns will provide some solution for the common problems to resolve. Best practices, basically.
Okay. Sir, tomorrow we told the mappings like 1-to-1, 1-to-many.
That is
in
not
class?
tomorrow, not tomorrow. That is part of the syllabus. Maybe in this week we will cover that.
Yeah, okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi Ashok.
Yeah, hello.
You told like in code level queries should be optimized to increase the performance.
Right.
This optimizations means so what like
I mean, whenever you are writing the join queries, right, proper joins we need to use for that. That is called optimization. When you are retrieving the data from the multiple tables, then the performance issue will occur if you don't follow the proper join conditions.
that join we will write in database. What about in code level?
No, some queries also you can write a join query in the code also and you can execute that, right?
Okay.
Yeah, that query you need to write properly. So you need to show the query that you are writing to the DB team so that they will tell you whether your query is having any issue or not.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Good, guys. Thank you. With this, I'm stopping for today. Notes uploaded. Please practice. We'll meet in the tomorrow session.